when I listen to Guru Maharaj, I don't think of a date. What's that? Is there a PA system? It's okay. Yes. So no, I'm still hearing myself on like a PA system. Reverb. And so it's a slight delay. And since we don't have a guitar, I'm not in the delay. If I had a guitar, sure, put delay on 3, but not the voice, right? You don't want your voice on delay. That can be confusing. In a song, it's okay. But just for conversation, it gets weird. If you put on too much echo, and we used to do that for fun. Turn it all the way up and have a conversation. It sounds insane. You hear the same thing going over and over again, ad infinitum. It usually means you've had too much water to drink. That sannyasi who invited Nitai and Gauranga to his house for some ananda. And they're like simple heart, and they go, Ananda? And he means wine. So he's inviting Nityananda and Mahaprabhu over the house for, would you care for a glass of Ananda? Well, I don't mind if I do. And they run away. He's a tantric, so-called tantric sannyasi. But what I was saying about the time, so I know that it's August of 1981. That's for archival purposes. But what's being discussed, he could have said it this morning. Really, that I don't ever hear him and become nostalgic for some particular period of time. Really, he could have said it this morning and it would be equally as relevant and spiritually substantial. Every now and then you hear something that dates it. And it's usually not something significant, just, you know, like when they ask Guru Maharaj about like nuclear war or something. And everyone, because every now and then it's like a cycle. They go, well, you know, they have, what do they call it? The clock, the doomsday clock. And it's 1 second closer to midnight. And you know what I'm talking about? The doomsday clock. So they asked Guru Maharaj about it at one particular time of heightened tension. And that's when he said those famous words, it is a point on a line on a plane in a solid. What do you mean? What is a point? A line, an infinite number of points. What is a plane? An infinite number of lines. What is a plane? An infinite number of solids. So he's not being callous or insensitive, but he's saying, that's the world you live in. You know, like where through the misuse of free will, human beings are causing so much suffering for other human beings. So one poet said, because people are talking about the influence of technology, this, and he said, this was in the 19th century. And he said, what man has done to man? Like, I used to find it interesting that they talk about people doing horrible things and long ago who were like primitives. They go, oh, these barbaric, you know, and they would do, oh. And then someone pointed out, yeah, and now you do the same things and worse, and you're educated and full knowledge. You're not a primitive barbarian, but you're capable of doing the same or worse. So who's better? Right? So anyway, about time. So when I was at the lotus feet of Srila Guru Maharaj, and he's talking all these things, there are times when we really went to another dimension, you can say. I remember one particularly, it was in the rainy season, and I had asked him, this is before Golden Volcano, if he would comment on the Shikshastakam, and I would publish that as a separate book. You understand? Golden Volcano is actually like 2 books. So it's going to be the life and precepts of Mahaprabhu, and then another book would be like the Shikshastakam. But in consultation with him, and we decided to combine them. So you see, the first part says the life and precepts of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Second part says Shikshastakam. So it doesn't matter. It's just a publishing thing. And Gurus have to be, the flow would have to come. You can't just say, oh, tomorrow we're doing, Trinada piece. It doesn't work like that. Just at a particular time. And so it's the rainy season and it's raining and remember, so the higher Vaishnavas, even the environment is reminding them of Krishna. Like we do that thing about inauspicious and auspicious signs. Like the one before you're going traveling, never have anything to do with laundry. You see something on the left side, right? Oh, a man carrying, like you do here, the bamboo pole, 2 buckets, buckets empty, inauspicious, buckets full, auspicious. Signs, like sulakshana. Lakshana means sign, su means good sign. Sulakshana, lakhan. Bengali said lakhan. So, and there's other stuff that I don't want to say because you go, that's auspicious, it doesn't sound like it. And Prabhupada used to follow this stuff. Guru Maharaj followed it, like certain times of day, the week, this, that, sign, like never dealing with laundry before you go. And one time I remember I was in Kiev and we're going out the door and someone says, you forgot your, gumsha or something. I just said, I'm not going, just leave it. Because then I would have to go back there. And there's one writer, Bharti Mukherjee. She writes stories about immigrants, Indians in America. So there's a guy, an Indian, he's trying to blend in with his neighbors in America. So he doesn't want to do anything strange, in front of them. And so and it's a typical scene. He and the neighbor, they're coming out of their houses in the morning, kiss the wife goodbye, say goodbye to the children, get in your car, wave to your neighbor, get in the car and go to work, right? That's the scene. And when they come out, hey, Bob, how you doing? Like say the guy's name is Sandeep, they go, hey, Sandy, what's up? Oh, hey, Bob, see you at the bowling, match tonight, And then the Sandeep character sneezes. Right? And then she says, in his mind, he's going like, I can't possibly explain to my neighbor that I now have to re-enter my house and leave again. And he goes, forgot my keys. He's saying, the guy, you're like, because you sneezed, you have to go back in your house and come out again? That's right. So as Prabhupada used to say, you may not believe, but we believe these things. I hope I'm not talking to you with dark sunglasses. It's rude. So that whole sign thing is interesting. But Guru, see, everything comes from the original. So Guru said, where does it come from? Srimati Radharani is looking for signs in the environment that will indicate that meeting Krishna in the evening is favorable. That's where it comes from. So she's doing it too, but a little different. Right? She's saying, oh, that's a good sign. I will meet him. Oh, that's not a good sign. So here's the perverted reflection of that. So anyway, we're told in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that Nimai Pandit, he sees signs that Nityananda is coming. Indicators to him. Of course, we say, no, by default, he's omniscient. What do you mean? But that's why Leela is not, how do you say, extracurricular or peripheral or redundant. Leela is necessary for divine play. So he can't go, yeah, I know. It's in the 14th chapter. Then we meet, and then we go there, same old Nitya Lila. That's why this devotee said to Prabhupada, like, does Mother Yashoda really enjoy her pastimes with Krishna? And Prabhupada was rolling his lotus eyes. And like, my God, what are you thinking? Like this little girl here, so we play with her, have endless fun with her. And through her, I'm thinking like, if a child can be so cute, I mean, like, suddenly I'm going like, Vatsalya Rasa is probably the most wonderful thing you can imagine. Krishna is that toddler who's defiant, naughty. I mean, it's literally endless fun, right? And Guru Maharaj is explaining Brihad Bhagavatamritam, said that how the separation cycle works in Nitya Lila is that, so you start Vasudev, Devaki, and let's just keep it at Nanda and Yashoda. They're praying for a son, with all due respect to Vasudeva and Devaki. Okay. Oh, if the Lord, and then Krishna appears, becomes their son. I'm not going to go into the whole history at this point, right? Just summary. Then where you hold Poganda, Kumar, Kishore. So, yeah. So it's, or Kumar, Poganda, Kishore. So he has his pastimes with Nanda and Yashoda, and then gets older with the cowherd boys, mainly, little older, the Braja Gopis. Gopi, the real substance of gopis in Krishna is Kishore. That's why when Mahaprabhu asked Raghupati Ubadai, what's the best age of Krishna? Because Kishore, right? The Madhupurivara, Kishore, and Madhura Rasa is the best. Shama Lila Param Rupam, Shama Sundar is the supreme form, Kishore is the supreme form, because he's sweet, sweeter, sweetest. So sweetest, like Prabhupada say, perfect, more perfect, most perfect. All are three are perfection, but one, perfect, more perfect, most perfect. Sweet, sweeter, sweetest. So when he's like that, so then he gradually transitioning like a child. Then you spend a lot of time with your friends, and then later girls. It's the same sort of sequence, but then he leaves. So the separation described of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai are so heartbreaking. It's given by Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur in the Sarartha Darsha commentary on the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. I mean, is this possible? Like they don't eat for months, they neglect, they don't bathe, they don't do anything. Their house is full of it's like a horror movie. And he said, simultaneously, it's working in parallel. Someone comes to visit, they're showing something else. You come to visit, go, oh, how are you doing? Yeah, well, we're going on. But he said, in actuality, they haven't eaten, their hair is all, it's like a horror movie. What's going on? That's what Uddhava comes to deal with. But anyway, so they start thinking like, for so long we have not seen our son. And it starts getting deeper and deeper, and they go, it's like we never had a son. And then it completes the cycle, and they go, we have no son. If the Lord would be so kind and merciful to us and give us a son. You see? And then it starts again, Nitya Lila. And he appears, and they go through all this, and it always ends with the separation being so intense that they don't have a son and start praying for a son. And I think we can understand that like anything that someone does repetitively, compulsively, addictively, is giving them some sort of mysterious, peculiar pleasure. That's why they keep doing it. So he said, does Mother Yashoda really enjoy her pastimes with Krishna? Yes. Very much. Too much enjoyment is there. So same with Nityananda. When he was a child, you can imagine, like, doesn't make sense. So you see some cute little kid here, and you become their toy. The parents are slaves of their children. There's a kind of sweet slavery. At times, it's better to be the cool uncle or auntie. So you get to have all the fun stuff, and then the parents get to be the bad guys. And they think, oh, but my uncle or auntie is so cool, and you're so cruel. She lets me do this, and that, and you don't. I love her more than you. Like that kid in the video, I love where he goes, his mother realizes it's such a special moment. She turns her phone on, and the kid, he's got crumbs all over his mouth. And she goes, say it again. He goes, I only like you when you give me cookies. She goes, that's the only time you like me. Yes. And then his mother goes, but I love you. And he goes, I love you too, but I don't like you all the time. He's like 3, he just doesn't know how to lie yet. He'll learn, But so Nityananda, everyone in the neighborhood, they're like crazy about this kid who's so much fun. And he organizes all the other kids, like, let's play Ram-lila. Okay, you be, and they play Ram-lila, Krishna-lila, all these different things. And everyone is like addicted to Nityananda, Nitai. And what to speak of mother Padmavati and father Hadai Pandit. So he's their pran. And you say praneshwari, that means like really, like what's flowing in them, keeping them alive. They can't imagine being separated from, like that thought cannot even remotely come to them. And then we're told of sannyasis visiting. And one day I said to Gurudev, I said, some say that it was Madhavendra Puri. And I'm kind of saying, Maharaj, like, what do you say? And he goes, some say it is Madhavendra Puri. I went, oh, okay, that's the answer. All right, I was just checking, That's why it's said that way. But so these are more than grihastas and perfect in every way. They're Hadai Pandit and Padmavati. So everything's pukka in their household, and they know all the culture and everything. So they will always say, so Sannyasi Thakur, is there anything we can do to assist you? And, and they give food, lodging, everything. And then they go, so is there anything else we can do before you go? And he's like, well, I'm traveling to holy places and I don't have a brahmachari assistant. And I'm seeing this boy, I have some strange attraction for him. I could use him. But they follow, and this is how the Leela grabs you by the heart and starts to squeeze. He realizes it's going to kill them, he and Padmavati, but he can't refuse. So he agrees. And they take Nityananda away. We're told Hadai Pandit didn't like eat, sleep, talk, breathe for 3 months. He was like a statue, frozen. And he started crying, tears, so many tears that there's a pond there that's comprised of the tears of Hadai Pandit in separation from Nityananda. So we sometimes think, maybe in an almost enviable sense, like, oh, these great devotees, they get to have all the fun and nectar with, and then he plunges them into the depths of separation. But again, Sanatana Goswami Bhagavatamritam saying, only the true rasics understand the superiority of separation to union. that the heart achieves greater depth through separation and expresses a superior type of Krishna prema that Krishna is addicted to. So, and once with Gurudev, we're taking prasadam, and one sannyasi was with us, Gurudev says, oh, Maharaj, what do you think about this particular preparation? And he said, I'm not familiar with that. And Gurudev said, he goes, like he's registering something about us. And he said, it is the favorite preparation of Hadai Pandit. Maharaj is thinking like, good God, these people don't know anything. But he wouldn't say, I said that. He didn't say that. But it's what he meant. That's why he said, after dealing with all of you, nothing will surprise me. He said, except that they're chanting Hare Krishna in China. That surprises me, but nothing else. But he's just still keeping it to himself, tolerating, and through love and affection, upgrading everybody by allowing us to serve and assist him. We'll get to his heart region someday by his grace, because he loves Nityananda. Like that you don't appreciate the preparation of Hadai Pandit is intolerable to his heart. That's how much he loves Nitai. And he said, he was telling you that what Nityananda eats for breakfast, muri with some fried eggplant slices in it. And at one point I was saying like, Maharaj, how do you know that? I mean, were you there? How do you know? I haven't seen it written anywhere. But I just smiled. And he said it with such, like, you could tell he loves Nityananda. Not just, oh, here's the day we have to talk about Nityananda Prabhu. Maybe I should read up on that. Like he can't conceal his love and affection for Nityananda. And like he said, I mean, I'm just telling you my memory. He goes, there was this man who had one good leg, but he could dance like Nityananda Prabhu. He's kind of like a professional, which means Sahajiya type. And Gurudev would bring him to the mat sometimes, like he's coming by. A lot of these people are from Bangladesh, singers, and he'd have him dance like no one's around. And it gave Gurudev great joy. He gave him a little money, some prasadam, because I like these Mirabai singers. I know all about Mirabai from Guru Maharaj, but I like these singers. This brother and sister, girls around this tall, the brother like that. And she would sing harmony to his singing, and they sing these Mirabajans, and he has the, shh, and the thing going, ching, ching, boom, ching, ching, boom, shh, ching, ching, boom. Like, Oi Jalamalai, Ganga Jamuna. And then the girl, she would be like, but had a very powerful voice and would sing. And I'd hear them out the window of number 3 Albert Road. And I'd like go downstairs and listen to them a while, made some recording and give them a little something. And then they would go. This is all they do to survive. And the president at that time, he was saying, because Prabhupada's coming, he goes, when Prabhupada comes, he's going to smash you. And because me and a couple of my friends were like musician types. Anyway, so he's just saying, wait until Prabhupada get here, he's going to smash you, and this will be over. Because every day I hear, ching, ching, boom, ching, ching, boom. They'd go, Terasavali, hoy, vanamala. And you just like float downstairs. Then Prabhupada comes, and we're in his room. And Prabhupada was very relaxed in Calcutta because it's his hometown. And like friends are coming. And I'd never seen him like that. Really, it's like he's in his hometown, people are coming by. He's like, And we're with him in the room in the morning, and then you hear ching ching boom, ching ching boom. Oi Jalamalai Ganga Jamuna. You know, and that he's looking at us, and he looks over and Prabhupada's listening, and it goes on for a little while, and he calls his servant and he says, give them something, and he sends money to them, and we're like, yes. but anyway, so Gurudev would bring that man, and he's very Nitai focused at times, and he would say, everyone knows Guru Maharaj is Rupa Goswami's man. So why is he always saying Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai? Because as Guru Maharaj would explain, he said, you know, we're talking about saying something high in Krishna consciousness. Actually, most of it is high. Very little of it is not. So inevitably, and we try to stay within the parameters of what's acceptable and ordinary preaching. We don't endorse taking and telling very high things. I did that when my friends, we used to be in a band together. They come to visit me at the temple. And you know, I'm like 21 at the time, because I joined when I was 19. And so they're coming, the other guys in the group. And they like Krishna consciousness too, because the drummer was in a car wreck, and at the moment of impact screamed Krishna, and everybody was saved. So he's the drum, you know, and so they're now like, you know, devotee types, and my best friend is a devotee. But so, and I'm thinking like, what should I tell them? I'm going to blow their minds, you know. So I read the 25 qualities of Srimati Radharani to them, from the, you know, Ramananda Sambad, like Raghunath Das, you know, I mean, I can't even repeat those things here at this moment. Things that are incomprehensible. And of course, they're impressed. I just said a stream of things that are incomprehensibly inconceivable, and they're like appreciating that. So for them, that worked, you know, and we had regular discussions also, but we know you have to keep within these parameters and normal discussion. But Guru Maharaj is saying, but inevitably, invariably in Krishna consciousness, you are going to say some high things. And Guru Maharaj is saying, and maybe we rushed, or it didn't come out right, or it went, and some level of offense might be there. There's something he also said called Bhakya Aparad. And it's like an explanation that's an offense. Because after he gave this beautiful description of Bhaktivinoda Sharanagati, the ecstatic symptom and all of that, and one devotee, Maharaj, we've never heard anything so beautiful. And Guru Maharaj said, what I have given is Bhakya Aparad. It's so much more beautiful than that. Krishnadas Kaviraj will also say that. That's the Vaishnavas. You know. But, so Guru Maharaj said, so if maybe I made a mistake, or didn't represent things the way they should have been, then by invoking the grace of Nityananda Prabhu, he said, I will be restored to my former proper position. So, and you'll hear at the end of some talk where it does go high, Guru Maharaj is going, Nitai, 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 Jai Nitai, Dial Nitai, Dial Nitai, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Nitai Gaur, Gadadhar, Dvaita Srivas, Nitai, 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 you know. There are tapes, he's just saying Nitai for 3 or 4 minutes. And Nitai go, Nitai go. So he's saying why? Because Nityananda, the grace of Nityananda Prabhu is the foundation of all Krishna consciousness. Right? I mean, like when you make a building, you have to dig deep first, and Krishna Priya knows very well. And then you put the way they do the ties, you know, they dig, how many meters? 2, 3, 2 or 3, they dig, and then they put in the rebar, and then pour cement and make a column. So at least 2 or 3 meters is underground. I'd say 2, good 2 meters. And then it comes up and then that's covered. But now those are not going to move. And then you put in the other stuff. So it's called foundation. And Guru Maharaj is reminding us, if you're whatever it is you're doing is not founded upon the grace of Nitai, Nityananda, who's also the other self of Guru, then whatever you're building, it will fall over. It will go down, right? It won't be able to, you may build something very elaborate and maybe it'll hold its position for a while, but after a while, it will come crashing down. So the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. And also Guru said, not knowing the glories of Nityananda Prabhu is like not knowing who your mother is. That's how he put it. And I remember I was in South Africa lecturing and I said, so Nityananda was going door to door, falling at the feet of the people saying, and please accept the grace of, the lotus feet of Gauranga. And then Guru would say, and all you have to do is say, yes, I want it, And so I continue, and so I keep talking in a lecture, and then in the back, a little kid stands up and goes, yes, I want it. Because I said, all you have to do is say, yes, I want it. So he goes, yes, I want it. I mean, whatever it is you're talking about, I want it. And I just said, yes, so can I have it? Yeah. So, and Nitai Koruna Habe Braji Radha Krishna Pabe. And they're like, why you need the grace of Nityananda to enter the pastimes of Radha and Krishna? So think very carefully about that. And Heno Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna. Without Nitai, you won't get Radha and Krishna. So people, there's a type of sahajya, extensive, sahajyism, extensive in the modern Western world, devotional community, where they give some perfunctory, tip of the hat to Nityananda. It doesn't work like that. He comes first. And if you do not have not official appreciation, but deep appreciation in your heart for Nityananda Prabhu, Mahaprabhu will have nothing to do with you. Nothing. You'll get nothing from him. He cannot tolerate anyone who doesn't love and worship Nityananda. So he's looking for those. He can't wait either. Remember, the pastimes, there's so much pain in Krishna consciousness, but it's sweet pain. It is sweet pain. They can't tolerate being away from each other either. But Nityananda has to wait, what is it? 20-something years, approximately. And he's mad in separation from Gauranga, Nimai Pandit. What does he do? Go on tour of the holy places, like with that sannyasi, and more. And we're told when he goes there, he gets very excited. It's reminding him of home. And he gets to Vrindavan, he's like rolling on the ground and thinking of when he and Krishna would play here with the cowherd boys. And by his own description, he goes in the temples and he says, all the deities are closed and Krishna's gone. And he says, what happened? And they go, haven't you heard? No, what? They go, Krishna, Vaikuntha emptied out and Krishna's in Navadvip now. That's what they tell him. He's in Navadvip. Vaikuntha's empty. No one lives there. It's so busy, no one goes there anymore. So he starts making his way towards Navadvip, and Sulakshana, Nimai Pandit, has the dream and sees coming on the chariot, dressed in blue, and all the sign, the palm tree on his flag, and he's like, he's coming. And he sends Advaita, not Advaita, Haridas Thakur and Advaita, right? Those, or Srivas Thakur and Haridas Thakur, isn't it? Anyone remember? Anyway, they come back empty-handed, say, we can't find him. And he's just smiling. That's what he wants to hear. And then Vrindavanas Thakur, Saraswati Thakur says in commentary, of course they can find him, but what they're trying to show us is only Mahaprabhu can reveal the glories of Nityananda. He reveals the glories of Nityananda. So temporarily they can't see him, find him. And at that news, they're surprised that Nimai Pandit is happy that they couldn't find him. And he goes, come with tomorrow, I'll take you where he is. Oh, yeah. They go to the house of Nandan Acharya. And what does it represent? Nanda Bhavan. And when they meet there, it's like, it's unbelievable. When they, remember, it's Krishna and Balaram, but by the mercy of Yogamaya, they're having their first glimpse of each other as Nitai Gaur. So this is the first time Mahaprabhu is seeing Nityananda, and the first time Nityananda is seeing, like, hey, Krishna, what happened? Now you're all golden. What happened to you, Shyam? Oh, the heart of Radharani enveloping me, and Gadadhar. And when they meet, Nityan, he's just so astonished at the beauty of Gauranga. How can you improve upon, young Shyama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarup of Krishna? Rapid in the heart and halo of Radharani. And he's seeing him in that way and can't believe it as an expression. And then sensing his heart, Mahaprabhu tells Srivas Thakur, I believe, or Mukunda, to sing. And he sings that verse. Barha pidam nadabara bapu karneo karnikaram vibrat basa kanaka kapisam bhai jayantim chamalam randram benu adhaya sudhaya puriyam gopa vrinde vrindaranyam swapada ramanam pravishad gita kirti. It's saying, Krishna, Barha pidam, he's wearing a peacock feather, nadabara, he looks like a movie star. And he has flowers on his ears, flowers here, everywhere flowers. Vaijayanti, garland, the 5 different types of Vrindavan forest flowers, different colors, like rainbow. Run, Bain with high. And then when he plays on the flute, like the nectar from Krishna enters the flute. Like we know all flautists, that happens. So it happens when Krishna plays the flute. The nectar of Krishna's lips enters the flute, and then it comes out in the stream, like a mist, nectar mist, divine nectar cloud, sound mist stream. And everyone's capturing that with their ears. Run, Benu, Purin, Gopa, Vrinde. And he's surrounded by all these cowherd boys who are singing and dancing and throwing their lunches to each other. They're blowing bugles, flutes, horns. They're joking, laughing, and just down. And imagine, you've seen a Bollywood movie. How good dancers do you think the cowherd boys are? Sandeep can dance very nicely. Now, how good do you think these cowherd boys are when they dance? Of what we've seen in this world. And someone's like the best dancer, second best, and singer. If Mukunda or Srivas Thakur sing, do you think maybe they might be 2 of the greatest singers of all time, space and circumstance? So And then it's Brindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirti. This is the vision of the Braja it's Gopi vision. The vision of the Braja Gopis when Krishna and Balaram are entering the Vrindavan forest. This is what they see. It's from their perspective. And what do they know? Saying, and at the touch of the feet, lotus feet of Krishna, the earth, who is a person, she is also a gopi, but she's showing the form of earth. So she's conscious, she can feel the touch of Krishna's lotus feet on her. Krishna's walking on her. And what does it say? Prabhu said, Brindaram Swapada Ramanam. At the touch of the lotus feet, she's shivering in conjugal ecstasy. Not that she's just happy. It says she's shivering in conjugal ecstasy due to the touch of the lotus feet of Krishna. So then what is Shanta Rasa in Vrindavan? The place that Parakya Bhav is permeating everything. So hearing that, Nityananda goes into deep ecstasy and becomes fainted to this world and enters that world. And when he awakens, he's on the lap of Nimai Pandit. So his head is on the lap of Nimai Pandit. They're like fanning him. And it said, just as Lakshman was shot by an arrow in Ram-lila and like almost died. So it's saying, here, Nityananda was shot by the arrow of Krishna Prem, of Gaur Prem. That arrow entered his heart and made him go unconscious. So when he wakes up, he looks up and he's looking at the beautiful lotus face of Nimai Pandit. And Gadadhar Pandit, who's Srimati Radharani as a boy. And I just like to say that we know she's inconceivably beautiful, right? But when Radharani becomes a boy, how beautiful do you think that boy is? You can't begin to imagine the beauty of Gadadhar Pandit. And Mother Sachi saying, because when Nimai is mad and madness of Krishna, Prema says, where is, Khan, Krishna, Prananath, Murali, Vedanta, where is Krishna? Gadadhar, tell me. Gadadhar says, Krishna is in your heart. And he starts tearing his chest with his fingernails to see Krishna. And Gadadhar is like, no, not like that. And Mother Sachi says, this boy, Gadadhar, is very intelligent. I want you always to be with my Nimai. And it's Radharani as a boy. I can't get over that. The thing like, how beautiful Gadadhar, like, we can't even imagine remotely the beauty of Gadadhar Pandit. Srimati Radharani as a boy and Gaura-lila. And Gadadhar's on the side and seeing Nitai fainted in the lap of Nimai, starts to giggle and laugh and saying, hey, Ananta. Prabhupada. They have so much love and affection for Nityananda. And we can say that Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, its foundation is the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. Because when Guru Maharaj decided that in retirement, so-called, we know he doesn't mean to retire from Krishna consciousness. He means, retiring from traveling or like certain things like that. And maybe a little more emphasis on internal culture. But anyway, so when he settles on Navadip, because he said, we've been told Navadip is for the non-liberated. Vrindavan is for the highest section of liberated souls. Krishna Lilamritasar, Tar Satashatadar, Das Dikhe Bahoite, Se Chaitanya Lilahoy, Sarovaralakshoy, Manasa Hangsa Charaha Tahate. Guru Maharaj used to say, Govinda Maharaj likes this verse very much. It's saying that Krishna Lila for the highest section of liberated souls, Gaura-lila. What's the difference? Gaura-lila is the magnanimous distribute. What is otherwise inaccessible? Guru Maharaj said we should have a sign that says no admittance. Welcome. Welcome to the land of no admittance. This is the place you'll never get in here. Janmakoti Sukritara Nalabhite, and 10 million lifetimes of doing the right thing will not be your password or give you an entrance. Only by grace can you enter there. And more specifically, the grace of Nityananda Prabhu. So, so Guru Maharaj decides on Navadip because it's told it's for the non-liberated can seek their fortune in Navadip. And what does he do? Does he go like straight to the yoga pit? Oh, there'll be a lot of people, we can set up a shop there, No, that's not how good. I'm not saying it's wrong to think that way, but it's not how Guru Maharaj thinks. That's all. He's my Guru Maharaj. He thinks a particular way. I try to pay attention to that. But the other ways even pure Vaishnavas can think in other ways, but I'm here to tell you how he thinks. That's what I'm obligated to do. And I mean, I do it happily, but you can say, oh, someone else, maybe they did. But this is how Guru Maharaj thinks and processes things, and how even Srila Gurudev, Guru Maharaj knows he can do things that Guru Maharaj cannot do, because Guru Maharaj has a particular way and parameters for what he does, parameters for his dealings with the infinite, you could say, if you wanted to be mildly humorous. Apparently very mild. Anyway, so Guru Maharaj is thinking, the Dhameswar of Navadip is Nityananda. So I should not take one step in there without first going to Ekachakra. So he arrives on the train and he makes a point of it by saying he hires a bullock cart. That means a cart drawn by oxen, male bulls, males, cows. And he says, he walked, but he put his books and everything in the cart. He didn't ride in the cart. So he's walking next to the cart, and the cart's carrying all his books and everything. And then when he gets there, Shastanga Dandavats at Nitai Bari, the house of Nityananda, and he starts praying to the Lord as only Guru Maharaj can, that's so deep, pure from the heart, and saying, you are Patita Pavan. You give shelter to the most fallen. I'm fallen, and I'm seeking your permission to give admission and that I could stay in Navadip. He doesn't think, oh, I'm Sridhar Maharaj, so respected in Gaudiya Math and Saraswati, so I decide something, it's good. No, he's there like begging for permission to enter. And if something comes, a sign saying otherwise, he's prepared to accept that also. He doesn't know the outcome. He's saying, oh, I'll just do like this and then I'll just go, No, this is sincere from his heart. And up to this time, it's after the disappearance of Saraswati Thakur, people were asking Guru Maharaj for initiation, including Srila Prabhupada's sister, Pishima, elderly auntie, whose name was Baba Tarini Didi. She had first initiation from Saraswati Thakur, but not second. She wanted and others wanted. And Guru Maharaj is hesitating to initiate anyone and sending them to Goswami Maharaj. Why? Because Goswami Maharaj was approved Ritvik for Saraswati Thakur in his lifetime, because he went to England after Ban Maharaj. So Saraswati Thakur said, you meet somebody, it's qualified, you initiate them on my behalf. So he was approved to be a Ritvik for Saraswati Thakur in his lifetime. See how Guru Maharaj, how conservatively, cautiously he's thinking. So he's thinking, that's safe. Prabhupada approved him, I can send people to him. But he's thinking, that Ritvik we can on a certain level, I don't want to get in the whole thing, but understand there's some sanction there for that agent to, like, so that's how careful. When I told Guru Maharaj there were people who wanted to be initiated, and the subject of me becoming Ritvik for him, he said, I shall have to ask permission from the upper world. That's what he told me. So I came back a couple of days later, and apparently the upper world approved. So he is not initiating. And the inspiration comes from Nityananda Prabhu saying, like, but you do not give patita shelter. Different patita, fallen, are approaching you for shelter, and you're not giving. So if you will begin to give patita shelter, then I give my permission and for you to reside and spend your final days in Navadvip. So that and a couple of other things internally, Guru Maharaj got the inspiration to initiate and began. And so he said, and I'm just telling you straight, Guru Maharaj is qualified to do Nirjan Bhajan. Like all the stuff we say you shouldn't do, he's qualified to do it. That's why Gurudev said, Guru Maharaj's opinion is, even if you're qualified, you should not do it because it will mislead other people. But he's qualified to do it. I'm talking about internal culture. And it's his, what do you say, predilection? Like, that's really what he wants to do. But he knows that Saraswati Thakur does not approve of it. And this is a very important point. He knows he has certain tendencies that his guru does not approve of. So he knows he needs to modify himself. So he thought, all right, Prabhupada wants us to just preach, Saraswati Thakur. His whole thing is about preaching, not bead counters. He's not trying to round up a bunch of people going around with clickers and stuff, counting, Samkhya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a bunch of accountants. Accountants are very good at counting. That's why they're called accountants. He's not looking for bead accountants. Like, how many you got? I got that. Oh, I'm doing, I'm going to do some extra. Oh, yeah? We'll see who wins this, like japa. What do they call those things where they get together and have a competition in singing? Sing off or something? Have a job, two guys. And the winner is the Russian guy, He said, I do not consider counting beads in the jungle of Bali Ati Krishnanu Shilana. That's a direct quote of Saraswati Thakur. Malika upabasna. Do not allow your mala to fast. Give it some food, 4 rounds, but don't let it fast. Do seva. Prabhupada, work now, samadhi later. Consistently. So Guru Maharaj said, all right, I'm going to make a temple, but I'm not going to try and collect a lot of money, a lot of followers, but I'm going to take the middle route. That's what he's saying. Modestly, I'll make a temple, I'm not going to turn people away. It's very opposite. Not a lot of, but Gurudev came because Prabhupada include many others, they go in like, God, Sridhar Maharaj, he's the best. He knows more than all of us. He's more qualified than all of us. And he's on the rooftop in Navadvip. Nobody can see him except us. They're saying, it's a tragedy. Madhava Maharaj said, you're cheating the educated public by not giving your association. So Gurudev, when he was young, he'd get Goswami Maharaj, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada and others to go on programs. He'd make programs for them because Guru Maharaj would not go after a certain time. And Swami Maharaj used Gurudev also because Gurudev's in saffron and Swami Maharaj knows it's before he should be the lead preacher. Swami Maharaj is also training him, Bhagavad Gita and other things. So he makes a program and uses Gorindu Brahmachari as the pull. Like, and we have Gorindu Brahmachari from Navadvip, speaking tonight, or whatever. And they see there's the sound, because they have so much respect for the monk. There's Prabhupada. He's going to give the talk and do everything, but he's got Gurudev at his side, and Gurudev, of course, is the best singer and everything. And he can also be, but Swami Maharaj is using him as bait. Then Govinda Maharaj used them to do programs. And if they go, I'm not feeling so, they go, don't worry, I got it covered. I just need your name and you to be there. And you'll get lots of good prasadam. Like, okay, They did so many things. They're doing a program in East Bengal once. Guru Maharaj got there with his party, Madhava Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, like that, Goswami Maharaj. And nothing was arranged. Sometimes that happens, right? Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. So they get there and, they wired ahead of time. And I've done this before. You send telegrams in the old days, like, get there, nothing. And it's an evening program. No electric light, no pump, no pump, nothing. So they arrange it. They get the loud, whatever it was, they arranged everything. And then Guru Maharaj gives the talk. Madhava Maharaj maybe sings, and Goswami Maharaj collects. Saraswati Thakur used to say, that's my party. Sridhar Maharaj, he's the speaker. Goswami Maharaj collects money, and Madhava Maharaj, the best singer. So anyway, they do the whole thing. And then at the end, he said, one man stood up, like older man, to like chastise the people. He goes, this is Gaudiya Math. You see, we didn't do anything. They did everything. And why? To serve us nectar on a golden plate. This is Gaudiya Math. Right? Guru Maharaj liked that very much. So, but he's saying, so I'm going to be in Navadvip. People will come. Oh, what I was going to say is, so when you can see in letters, when Srila Govinda Maharaj comes, all the God brothers are relieved. They go, now we're going to see what Sridhar Maharaj can do. He's got someone. Because they realize, Guru Maharaj called him a brisky boy. Like, he's the one who can promote Guru Maharaj. Guru Maharaj, it's not going to happen. Only the senior most disciples of Saraswati Thakur know who he is and what he's got, and they'll visit him during the year. Madhava Maharaj would stay for a month. And Guru Maharaj said, when he was there, he's cutting a very stern figure of Guru in front of his disciples. And like, if he gets back late and the prasadam's cold, he just eats it like that. Like Guru Maharaj said, everyone has a particular way they handle this. So he's like showing, he's the guru. And they're all like, our guru is so, And then Guru Maharaj said, when he come to the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, he would play like a child. He would overeat, run around like crazy, talk like nonsense, and like roll on the floor and laugh and joke with Guru Maharaj. Then the disciples come, here's Gurudev. How can I serve you? So they also have a fun side. And especially if Gurudev is there, I think about this sometimes. He could actually make Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj, and Guru Maharaj laugh because of his sense of humor. And it's a divine sense of humor. You have to know something to get all the jokes, So, but anyway, so when Guru Maharaj got Gurudev, everyone was thinking like, oh, this is going to be great, And then, of course, the mat, Gurudev built the mat. Those 9 domes, he designed that. And the tallest dome, Atmanivedanam, the engineer said it cannot be done. There's, they're not food. They know weight, cement, how, and they said, so he, with his intelligence, Buddhi, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, figured out a way to make it work. Because he wanted that size. It would be a particular size, unlike any other mat. And he figured out a way, like he didn't just go, well, just believe me and do it. No, he figured out how to do it. That's the other thing. He used his intelligence, the engineers say, these are the problems. Then he shifted this, that, he did a few things. And they go, oh, then that could work. So that's why Keshav Maharaj said, We have so much resources, the senior disciple of Saraswati Thakur, and Govinda Maharaj has nothing because Chaitanya Saraswati Mat was poor, relatively speaking, not internally. Because what did Swami Maharaj's sister say? Lakshmi Devi is brooming the Radharani's courtyard. When someone said, I hear at the Mat, things are not going that well. She goes, what? Haven't you heard? What? She said, Lakshmi Devi is brooming the courtyard of Radharani. And Guru Maharaj said later, if she had said his courtyard, that would be unacceptable. But as Radharani's courtyard, that is acceptable. Because Lakshmi Devi, Yadvanchana Sri Lalana Charatapo Vihaya Kaman Sititam Dridambrita. She has that aspiration. So, and then Gurudev was there, and the Mat starts expanding and everything. And then I came in earnest. I mean, I came in first time was 1979, met Guru Maharaj, and we talked about Russia. And he said, previously there was a cloud of atheism hanging over the country. He said, but because Swami Maharaj went there, Prabhupada, the cloud lifted. He said, now you can go and preach and have success. And we did. And you could say part of the reason that you're all here is because of that. Right? So don't think Guru Maharaj doesn't know or isn't part of it. So, and he said, in places where it's more difficult, more grace comes to the devotees and the preachers because they're undergoing so much hardship. And I remember Anant Shanti, he's the first, I called him from Bulgaria, and we set up this whole thing. And we finally, and I remember we're in this hotel room in St. Petersburg, and Vijay, he's like down the street cooking, him and his brother, Yuri. So I'm saying, I had some mystical experience in Leningrad and on Nevsky Prospect, and it's possible that Vijay was walking with Satya Sundar and Avadhut Maharaj, and we passed each other on Nevsky Prospect. It's possible, because some strange mystical feelings came to me when we were there. All right, I'm serious, because I would turn to the person with me and I said, I'm having like major mystical experiences, for lack of a better word, and I don't know how to interpret it all, but I could understand it was something about the future. That's all I knew. And I believe that he walked them right, and we like crossed. And anyway, we're in the hotel room, and I'm going like, I'm wondering how I'll know if it's Anant Shanti or not. And oh, so I go in the park, and I would do things like I'd go, and I see someone I think might be him, I go like, Krishna, and see how they react. Like nothing. I go, okay, yeah. Govinda. Oh. Nothing, Then when he finally comes, I look at Krishna, I go like, of course it's him. Oh my God. He looks like a devotee, like he's glowing. And he's wearing one of those little fezzes, those white fezzes, those little like Muslim type caps. But he's like, and we meet, and he turned me on to Rajinka, that yogurt. It's like yogurt, it's brown. And we're there, and I really liked it. I'd eat like a liter of it every day. And we had some dates from, dates. And he goes, he's very excited. He goes, you know what? And I go, what? And he goes, next year, we're going to have these. You understand? You don't understand? This is the Soviet Union. So we brought some dates from the West, and he's happily eating them and says excitedly that next year, sometime in the next year, they're going to be available. So that gives you a glimpse. Vijay knows these things 1,000 million times better than me. Because once we're doing Janmashtami in Moscow, and I said, we'll make a feast list. What's available in Moscow right now? And someone goes, nothing. I said, okay, we have a car. We can drive outside of Moscow. What's available outside of Moscow? Absolutely nothing. Like if you think there's nothing here, you want to go outside? Come on, you know. But then we found out like how to secretly buy stuff. And we were making these Simply Wonderfuls, but the butter was not good, the pound, you know. So we renamed them Simply Horosho, you know, because they weren't exactly wonderful, but no. But anyway, so later Anant Shanti comes to Kiselni and we haven't seen each other in all these years because that was 1978 when I went there. And so now we're meeting, you know, and it's like heart and hugging and everything. And then at one point, Avadhut Maharaj introduces him and he goes, and this is Anant Shanti Prabhu, Prabhupada's first Russian disciple. And Anant Shanti goes, that's not true. And everyone goes, really? He goes, that's not true. You mean there was another Russian disciple before you? He said, no. He said, I am Srila Prabhupada's only Russian disciple. Not just the first. I am his only Russian disciple. So I had a little bit of ego, but I mean, you know, if you're Prabhupada's only Russian disciple, I think, you know, you know, I'll drink to that. You know, I'll have some kvass and toast you. Muralisa and I are looking out the window. We're at this place and I forget the name right now, but they're having a festival. And there's this girl who's a really good singer. And it's like the local, that's where they have that kvass, that drink. You know what I'm talking about? Of course you do. You've drunk gallons of the stuff. It's like fermented something. Bread. Oh, bread, fermented bread, liquid bread. You know, that's what the Irish call Guinness. So, but it's not Guinness. But anyway, so we're there and we're, you know, I like to see some local stuff. And this girl, she's dressed in like some traditional clothes and she's singing. I said, what is she singing? And he said, she's singing about how happy their life is on the Volga River. It's like a song. And I said, it's like Vrindavan. The Volga, and Guru has talked about the Volga River also, how special it is. Because these major rivers, they're all divine. They are. So it's a divine river, actually. And this girl is singing about how happy our life is living on the Volga River. And, you know, it was like so sweet, it would make you cry, you know. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh, so, yeah, Anant Shanti, and we meet and do all that stuff. And later he gets, you know, anyway, we tried. And what our modus operandi was, I thought, we may never be able to come back here again. So every day, 24 hours a day, we said everything we knew about Krishna consciousness. At one point, we'd be lying on the floor and keep talking. All right, then there's something called Varnashram Dharma. And the Varnashram system, there's 4 Varnas and 4 Ashrams. 4 Varnas, you know, until we, like, oh, we wake up, you know, and then we take showers. And when the guys come out, they see me, I'm like using a towel, and I see them, they're going. And I go, how come no one is using towels? They go, Anand Shanti said devotees don't use towels. So they just shiver until they're dry. So I said, you know what? I'm like in charge here. And I now authorize everyone to use towels. They go, oh, we knew we liked you. Like at the Mat, when I would come and devotees go, Mars, we're so happy to see you. And I go like, why? Oh, we're just really happy to see you. And then I find out the day I go, Gurudev stops the like special prasadam, and then they have to eat the regular stuff for like a month. Then I'd come back and there's Begun Bhaja and so they go, Mars, we're very happy to see you. But anyway, so like this is the situation there. And so we tried to give everything we could every day. And you know, this like sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. when Gargamuni and Pusta Krishna Maharaj were in Bangladesh, the war happened, the Bangladesh war, and they could be killed, really. And they made it out of there. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to keep preaching. These are devotees. This is the Hare Krishna movement. And then that when Gargamuni made it back to Bombay, Prabhupada stood up and tears were pouring from his eyes and he's embracing him. How happy he was to see that he was still alive. And then he told them, he said, preaching, he said, it's like sales. He said, sometimes the market is good for selling. And he said, but other times it's not. And when the market is not, then you buy, you're doing purchasing. So he said, when there's a good opportunity for kirtan, you do that. When not, then internal culture. But we're always doing these things. Don't give up because it's not a good situation to preach at that time. Then do some internal culture and wait for a more favorable environment. Things like that. But anyway, so what I wanted to say was that, so in 2000, I asked Srila Gurudev, what does he want me to do? Like, does he want me to make more books? And he said, Maharaj, something like, I have 150, you know the numbers, they're like always publications. And he said, but there was this boy named Jagannath Ballabha in Russia. And he's doing so much preaching. And he goes, I would like you to meet with him and go to Russia. And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? Like, I said, like, you're telling me I should go to Russia? Even like for the rest of my life? He goes, no, I'm just saying you should go there. You stay with me and you go visit sometimes. I went, thank God. Like, I did not envision myself living the rest of my life in Russia. I'm just telling you that, you know, privately. He said, no, you will stay with me. Whatever I have, you have. But I want you to, this boy is very exceptional. And if you go help, that will be very good. And, you know, and then we meet and I meet him actually in Mayapur. I visit my friend Ramdas. I'm coming back. There's Jagannath Ballabha on a rickshaw and we meet and discuss what Gurudev said, that we should work together. And so the reason I say this without going into the details is it's not some accidental thing. Gurudev brought us together. That's different than you just happen to do this and happen and, you know, what do you call it? Serendipity. Or Gurudev brought us together to do this. And still. And so and Avadhut Maharaj, Gurudev named him Avadhut like Nityananda. And Bimal Avadhut. Bimal means spotless. So first of all, what is an Avadhut? Duta means dirty, polluted, filthy. So Avadhut is someone who can deal with dirty, polluted, filthy things and not become contaminated. So that means the Avadhut can enter places where others cannot or should not. They may not survive there, others. But the Avadhut can be there and not come away damaged, polluted, or soiled in any way. So that's already in the name. And then if you add to that Bimal, that means even more spotless. And I would say this, that Nityananda is called the Avadhut. We know because he like, one day appears like this, he appears another way, another way, another way. And he's the one we're supposed to get the grace from, right? To proceed to these other things, but he's always included, right? Even in Krishna Lila, we know Ananga Manjari. Like, how could he, knowing what he knows, to put it mildly, omniscience, you know, like not want to participate in that? He does. And who is Ananga Manjari? Srimati Radharani's younger sister. Just leave it at that. You don't need to know more than that, right? Radharani's little sister, younger sister. So Gurudev, when he was in householder life for some time, you know, he's disguised as a mild-mannered householder. So some people get to know him because there's the Mott and he lived in Calcutta. Like, you know, he's irresistibly charming, whether you know everything about him or not. So this more than one person, but one man was really just taken by Govinda Maharaj. And he said, you know what? If Sridhar Maharaj didn't name you Govinda Maharaj, he could have named you Avadhut Maharaj. Because that was his impression of him, that he's also like an Avadhut, can deal with potentially damaging, polluting things and not become affected by it. So, and remember, we're with Prabhupada in Vrindavan at Krishna Balaram, and it was a so-called guest house, and the guests were not coming. And Prabhupada, you know, he had business sense. So he said, $160,000 at the time. Said, if you put that in an interest-bearing account, let's say, just to keep it simple math, I'm not a mathematician, last person in the world. Let's say 160. Say you put an interest-bearing account, 10%, what do you get on 16, right? And you put on 1,000. In other words, you need to make $1,600 a month. I'm just saying this, right? To make that investment worth it, right? You bought the steel, brig, blah, 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 blah. So we need to make $1,600 a month to justify having done this from this type of analysis. So he said, why are they not coming? One devotee said, well, we don't allow smoking. Prabhupada said, make a smoking room. Like next, you know, oh, we don't allow tea. They can drink tea. It's not a big deal. Give them tea. Oh, in your book, you said, you know, give them tea and make one room, a designated smoking room. Anyone who wants to smoke can go smoke in that room. This is Prabhupada in Vrindavan. Vrindavan. And then the devotee's like, and Prabhupada tells a story that I later heard from Guru Maharaj and like, you know, put two and two together. Prabhupada says, you don't know, but my Guru Maharaj once, he said, make a youth hostel in London, and we will, through a local restaurant, arrange non-vegetarian food for the students. What he didn't tell was it was Guru Maharaj who said this. The following to Saraswati Thakur, he said, he was shocked. And he said, I think that could introduce contamination into our group. And Saraswati Thakur said, oh, no, you don't know. I thought of this 10,000 years ago. Like, it's not that it just popped in. I'm like, hey, I got an idea. He said, no, 10,000 years ago, I thought of this. And Guru Maharaj later includes it in the verse, Shiti Liti Vidi Raga Radhe Sadvani, Vilasatu Riddhi Nityam Bhakti Siddhanta Bani, Nikila Bhuvanamaya Slok. They're saying, Shitilita means to slacken or loosen. So it's saying he's willing to loosen things up to bring others in. Right? And so he told Guru Maharaj at the time, he said, Vaikuntha Britti. Vaikuntha means without limitations. It can also, it means unlimited, liberal to the extreme. So he's saying, in preaching Krishna consciousness, you have to be liberal to the extreme. Prabhupada kept his things in a refrigerator that had meat in it, because that's the way it was. There's a refrigerator, and he's got his stuff next to somebody's, you know, slaughtered animal meat stuff, because he's on a mission from God, Krishna, right? So he's not going to be polluted by this. He's not going to get taken down. It doesn't mean we should just be, it's not saying we should be loose. That's not what he's saying. That person who said these things was strict of the strictest. But he's saying for others, I'm willing to loosen things up to bring them in connection. When the governor of West Bengal comes there, they arrange meat, tobacco, alcohol, so that he doesn't experience any discomfort whatsoever. And we'll say, oh, sign me up for that program. That's not what he's saying. He's saying we should be liberal in our dealing with others. Not that we, like this one devotee on the traveling party, his name was Sri Balava, and he was a real character. And we're traveling around, and someone sees him in the magazine aisle, and he has a Playboy fold out, of a nude woman. And the devotee goes, Sri Balava, what are you doing? And he says, checking out the illusory energy. So you can make up all kinds of excuses about, what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's not what he's talking about. Checking out the illusory energy. The way he goes, checking out the illusory energy. And they go like, oh my God, His party was known as the My, oh my, I want a pizza pie party. Devotee, we usually offer things before go. These guys are offering before they go to the supermarket. I go, what are you doing? I go, what's he doing? He's bowing down in front of pictures of Prabhupada. And they go, oh, he's offering everything in the store that's offerable. So we just go in and take the prasad. And I'm going like, that's a thing? And you can do that? Are you sure? Are you guys on that level? Whereas Jayananda, the gentle giant, that Jayananda, we're doing Rath Yatra and the cherry orchard in California. And we've got all these, what are we going to do for 3? Is eat cherries. We're picking them, and best cherries in the world. And he's so humble. He looks around and he goes, are there any Brahmins here? He thought someone more qualified than him should make the offering. He's designing the carts. He's beloved by Prabhupada. And he goes, are there any Brahmins here? He didn't think he was qualified to offer these cherries for our lunch. That's sincerity. So in Saraswati Thakur said, it's not like carte blanche to do anything and everything and say, oh, we're preaching, we're bringing, but very carefully, cautiously. So Srila Avadhut Maharaj, he has these different programs, and we see, the end result is the expansion of Krishna consciousness. Temples full of deities and devotees, divine servitors everywhere we go. So Vijay, please speak something. I took up too much time. You wanted to speak something, I think. He can say whatever he wants about anything. He's Vijay. Oh, he's online. Then let him speak. Or you work it out. Okay.
Ощутил себя, вы говорите, вот это все четко на 100% правильно. Когда пришла Махамантра в город Петербург, я думаю, что это вы первый человек, который мог принести ее. Через какое-то время я, гуляя по парку, вернее, возвращался с Авадхутом и со Стасией, им было там по 7, по 6 лет. И увидел первых кришнаитов, дождь, осень, питерская погода ненастная. И человек 8 кришнаитов стоят под зонтиками и харинамят, поют харинама мантру. Я остановился так, застыв, и не мог сообразить, почему люди в такую погоду, и вокруг даже, я смотрю, никого не было, кроме меня и моих детей. Постоял, и первое, что сказал про себя, наверное, им делать нечего. И мне было так непонятно. И вот это была моя первая встреча. Это была моя первая встреча. Потом, через какое-то время, мне мой друг, мой коллега вручил Махамантру. Мы так с ним тоже говорили на общих своих. И я пытался даже эту мантру кому-то преподнести и проповедуя, не понимал смысл. Харе Кришна, Харе Кришна. Но в 31 год я ушел, уже в 31 год, я ушел в большую голодуху на 18 дней, работая большим руководителем в ресторане. И на этом через 18 дней я закончил пить, курить и скверно говорить. Все это прошло, не знаю, эта сила, наверное, подействовала на меня Махамантра. А через 15 лет я принял инициацию. То есть это был путь непростой. Но я понял теперь, что это было свыше какой-то от Господа, какой-то сигнал, который так мною руководил. Ну и получив инициацию, это была Америка уже, у Говинда Махараджа, я ему задал первый вопрос. Я бы хотел построить храм. Есть земля, которую я приобрел, красивое место. Так, после инициации. Я уезжал, я буквально на некоторое время прилетел, потому что у меня уже был бизнес, я руководил, не разорваться было. Получив инициацию, он говорит, да, давай. И первый мой визит в Навадвип, это уже первый мой визит с Авадхутом Махараджем, был непростой. Дели, самолет, Калькутта, поезд. Потом мы в Калькутте взяли какой-то разбитый такой УАЗ или какую-то машину, такой джип. Индусы нас развели по полной. Проезжая половину дороги, они сказали, машина сломалась, мы должны ее чинить, давайте деньги. Мы договорились об одной сумме, пришлось отдать 2 раза дороже. Я к чему это рассказываю? Очень тяжелый был путь. Приехали мы уже, выехали утром, а приехали в Навадвип уже поздно вечером. Ну, как раз была так вечерняя лекция Гурудева. И когда я приехал в Навадвип, в храм, я ощутил какую-то такую легкость, такое вот именно святое место. И вот после этого первая моя сева была, это корова, за которыми я ухаживал, там 2 недели проживает там. И понял, что да, мы попали в какой-то рай, в какое-то непонятное место, все. Так все было тяжело, трудно, сложно, дороги, и вдруг все по-другому, блаженство какое-то. И даже первую ночь там я рассказал потом Говинде Махараджу, я говорю, мне мешают спать. Он говорит, кто тебе мешает? Я говорю, на крыше какие-то преданные все время на флейте играют. Ну, я посмотрел, говорит, на флейте? Я говорю, да, на флейте. Ну, почему-то мне я ночью не могу здесь спать. Он так посмотрел, как всегда, мило улыбнулся, говорит, ладно, и это пройдет. Ну и, конечно, я могу сказать, что тот Навадвип, в который мы прибыли, это было такое блаженное место. И я вот сейчас только могу полностью рассказать, что да, какое-то было непонятное явление, что это святое место. И мы грешники, несмотря на то, что мы, в общем-то, уже были в сознании Кришны, как говорит, там какие-то мы совершали неправильные действия там, в своих первых шагах. Ну и нам это все прощалось. Возвращаясь из Навадвипа домой, мы уже какие-то были более, так сказать, осветленные, такие проявленные, что ли, что вот мы, да, должны заниматься вот этим делом, развивать сознание Кришны, строить храмы, проповедовать. И помню ваши первые визиты, когда вы приехали в Петербург, приехали первые преданные, там уже выстроили храм, и так много что было сделано. Сейчас трудно даже это представить, что мы могли за какой-то период перестроить все свои планы, все свои отношения, все свои понятия, сознание. Ну и, наверное, результат. Вот на глаза сидят наши много русских преданных, которых мы привели по милости нашего Гурудева, по вашей милости. Потому что первые, наверное, слова мантры вы привезли в Санкт-Петербург. Это сработало. Санкт-Петербург тоже очень непростой мистический город. Я это осознал. Почему, когда я искал эту землю, я просто смотрю, я не думал, что там будет храм. Гуляя по Финскому заливу, по берегу, я увидел какое-то непонятное место. И встал как завороженный, думаю, что это за место? Как это? Вот откуда такая какая-то вот внутри какой-то свет идет. И мне пришлось купить это место. Я по тем временам отдал деньги большие, квартиру. Я купил это, не знаю даже почему, для чего. Но оно до сих пор стоит и процветает. «Газпром» вырос там. Нас в этом году впервые администрация города поздравила с проведением праздника нашего летнего фестиваля. Никогда такого не было. Обычно как-то так на нас смотрели скептически. И вдруг нам прислали такие дифирамбы. Вы молодцы, продолжайте, проявляйте, служите, так сказать. Понимаете? Вот все, что я хотел сказать. Это непростой путь. И сегодня мы сидим на этом торжественном празднике Дня явления Нитянанды Прабhu. Да, это великий праздник, потому что мы все грешники. Но он наши грехи все отпускает. И говорит, идите дальше и распространяйте сознание Кришны. И не делайте больше того, что вы делали когда-то там в своих шагах неправильных, глупых. Поэтому поздравляю всех с праздником. Спасибо вам за то, что вы смогли сегодня прийти здесь, поддержать нас, собраться. И мы будем продолжать дальше, наверное, наш. Я могу передать, ну, там, Авадхут Махарадж, он где-то, наверное, нас слушает. И может ему передать микрофон как-то оттуда в зуме.
Sorry. Jai Vijay Raman Prabhu ki jai, Jai Nitai ki jai. Put Avadhut Maharaj on the screen.
Hello, Dandavat Pranam.
Very good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, my Dandavat Pranam to Srila Goswami Maharaja and all the Vaishnavas, respective Vaishnavis such as Kumkum, Didi, Vijay Raman Prabhu, all our senior group of unique devotees that are really witnessing this miracle of holy name descent to this Western world, including countries such as Russia, Thailand, etc. And of course, always listening to Goswami Maharaj's talk, it's very difficult to compete with Goswami Maharaj because pretty much everything in your mind he will cover and beyond. So, but I want to say a few words about Nityananda Prabhu Eka Chakradam, the place which first time we came after Govinda Maharaj's birthday. He was very tired and he allowed us to visit Eka Chakra in Katwa. And with Acharya Maharaj, we went on a little bus with Gaur Nitai deities on the back. And we were completely charmed by Nityananda's Prabhu Dham and his place of pastimes, the place he is Nevel, the Hadai Kunda, the Padmavati Kunda. The Sahaja holders of the Nityananda birthplace was not very friendly, so we had to go outside and cook on the side of a road. Acharya Maharaj was very, good equipped with big jar and gas stove. So we cooked big jar of khichdi. And we thought we'll offer to Nityananda Prabhu and we'll enjoy. It was exactly on the sidewalk where our temple now is. So, but by some mysterious way, there were tons of children who start running around us and ask us prasadam, and they were like vultures and beasts are grabbing our food, and we were very happy to feed them all. So we feed all the Eka Chakra children, and there were like maybe 100 of them. And they practically ate everything we cooked. We were very, very hungry, but we were very, very happy. So when we come back to Navadvip, visiting Nityananda Janmastan, Gurudev said, "What do you think?" And he told us the story of Guru Maharaj, of course. Then we said, Gurudev, what can we think? It's a very, very remote place, very bad road, but the place is incredible. It's practically untouched by any kind of civilization. But later, Govinda Maharaj said, well, this is the place of Hadai Pandit. And he starts speaking about separation from Hadai Pandit, which Goswami Maharaj mentioned. And he quoted the slokas of the Bhagavad and Charitamrita, which describes how Madhavendra Puri took Nityananda Prabhu, and how Hadai Pandit and Mother Padmavati become stunned, and Hadai stopped eating, drinking, and finally, within 30, 40 days, he go back to Godhead. He passed away. And he described the power of separation. And this is just beginning of Nityananda Prabhu saving the world, Lila, because before that he did pastimes as a Ram Lakshman. And as we've been wandering towards Ekachakra, we met one of the local Brahmana from the family which received the birth of Nityananda Prabhu. And that Brahmana is very nice devotee until now. He really loves us and take us around. He shows us the Radha Kund, the Shyama Kund, Govardhan, so many holy places. The place where Nityananda did Gaura-lila, the place where Nityananda Prabhu did this Lila, the Govardhan Lila, and everything in Ekachakra in miniature. It's like miniature Vrindavan. And there's so many incredible places about Pandavas, and even that place is mentioned in Mahabharata about Ekachakra, where Bhim defeat Bakasura demon, etc. So that place is being mentioned by Vedavyas and two other Vedavyasas, such as Vrindavan Das and Krishna Das Kaviraj. And the divine expansion of Lord Balaram appeared there, and they met with Mahaprabhu in Nandan Acharya Bhavan. So after so many years of traveling and visiting holy places and liberating so many sinful souls, Nityananda Prabhu, purifying holy places by his own divine presence, starts his Sankirtana movement with Mahaprabhu. Really, the Jagai Madai were not really disciples of Mahaprabhu. They surrendered to Mahaprabhu, but his real savior is Nityananda Prabhu. So Srila Prabhupada, in his commentary, he tells very interesting thing. He say, all the Hare Krishna mantra is so powerful, but it's only meant for very qualified people who sin free. For those people who are continuing sinful life of offenses, Mahamantra will not bear a quick result. However, if one will chant names of Gaur Nityananda, specifically Nityananda Prabhu, very easy the tears will come from his eyes, and very easy he will join the divine emotion, divine spiritual emotion. So what it tells that somebody who has sinful person, Krishna consciousness, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra will give fruits, but very, very long time. As you purify yourself, then it is a process. That's why Srila Goswami Maharaja said, yeah, that might be 4 rounds you do out of duty obligation, or you do more, but really you're not Haridas Thakur. You don't have divine joy of sweet holy name, and therefore hearing about pastimes of Krishna, specifically Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu. So when Guru Maharaj would quote Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai, Jai Nitai, somebody who has maybe read that part think, oh, he's actually very smart. He must be a very sinful man who's chanting the name of Nityananda. But that would be the neophyte approach. When somebody like Guru Maharaj chant names of Nityananda Prabhu, as according to Goswami Maharaj explained to us, he would go in such a deep, confident truth, and out of his divine heart flow, he would invoke name of Nityananda Prabhu, not to purify himself, to purify his listeners like us, to ask Nityananda Prabhu whether I were able, I just described such a high spiritual things to those completely unqualified people, and that only Nityananda Prabhu, Patit Pavan, he can only do that. That is his mercy. So the domain of Nityananda Prabhu is Guru Tattva, and of course Radharani is Guru Tattva. But what is their difference? What is their, comparison? Shrimati Radharani, her Mahabhav and loving devotional service to Lord Krishna is exemptional teachings of devotees under, that serve under her. In other words, it's a very intimate cycle that one can be brought to really experience Krishna consciousness. But Nityananda Prabhu is Patit Pavan. He is a savior of fallen soul. He does his, just like primarily education, higher education. So he does his foundation, spiritual foundation. So he's bringing us to the spiritual foundation of Krishna consciousness. And as a guru, he's not taking our offenses. So Govinda Maharaj many times would say, I am a guru of those people. I can give them order, but if they cannot follow, they will commit Vaishnava aparad, Guru aparad. That is even worse. So Nityananda Prabhu, not knowing our offenses, not counting our offenses, bringing us, as Goswami Maharaj said, loosening up for us, open wider doors for Krishna consciousness. And today, his appearance day. So finally, Acharya Maharaj built this beautiful temple of Gaur Nityananda in full size. And, we were so lucky. At the very opening of temples, we came with a projection, and we celebrate this very wonderful appearance day of Nityananda Prabhu. We made friends with local people, and they're always asking us, how are we doing? Are we coming this time or not coming that time? And finally, Srila Acharya Maharaj, after leaving this world, he entered Divine Samadhi in Ekachakra Nityananda Prabhu place, and I was so fortunate to be there, to be present there and to assist him to do that service. And it is very, very special mercy of Nityananda Prabhu and very deep relation of Guru Maharaj, Gurudev, our mission to Nityananda Prabhu, Holy Dham. And today we are so fortunate. It's very difficult to really calculate our fortune. So I will not speak more because there are people like Bhakti Lalita, Krishna Kanta, Didi, Munindra Prabhu, many others, Krishna Priya is there. I don't know if Paramananda Prabhu is there, but so many devotees there who would like to say something and would, mention. So, I'm taking a very short time. I'm very pleased to hear all of you, to see all of you together celebrating this holiday. Later on, we're going to have Russian-speaking program. Today's English-speaking program, so it's around 6 or 8 o'clock. There'll be another program, so we'll have an opportunity to share and exchange. And my Dandavat Pranam, I was not expecting to hear any of my glories of day to day, but I understand this is an extension of Nityananda Prabhu's mercy, so I'm begging you all to forgive all my offenses and be as kind, as merciful as Nityananda Prabhu to myself, because I'm a fallen soul, and Nityananda Prabhu is Patit Pavan, like Lord Jagannath. He's very merciful to fallen souls, humble souls. So we want to keep that mood to be able to associate with devotees. And my Dandavat Pranam to all of you. So I'm unplugging and going to hearing mood. Dandavat Pranam, Maharaj.
Avadhut Maharaj ki jai. Hare Krishna. So that's why in his Pranam Mantram, I had the honor and privilege to compose that. Besides the Avadhut part, which there was in his name, but to draw some attention to that, the other part was Parama Karunaspadam, Parama Karuna. Prabhupada always like, Nitai, Parama Karuna Pahudvijana Nitai Gaura Chandra. So Parama Karuna means the supreme type of mercy and compassion. And that's why I thought in Avadhut Maharaj's Pranam, there must be reference to Nityananda and Gaura Nitai, this Parama Karuna, this Vaikuntha Vritti, this generous, liberal approach to connecting others to this divine conception. And that the means, people may be puzzled sometimes by the means, but the sincerity and the outcome can never be called into question. So Gurudev would see every year he shows up in Navadvip on the veranda with 80 people to be initiated and a large box of rubles. which are like Russian rupees and other things. And Gurudev saw him floating down the river in the summertime, rafting, and with the heart lighting up under his shirt, singing in Russian that, Gauranga loves you and different things. And Gurudev would sit there and drink tea and eat snacks, and this was his entertainment. I must have watched that with him 100 times. He never tired of it. And he'd show it to other people. And he knew that Avadhut Maharaj, he is bringing the mercy, the grace of, like Nityananda, bringing them in connection with lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, Radha Govinda, by being accessible and entering their world and being playful, and then just sort of, guiding them in a new way, in a new direction. So what better day than the appearance of Nityananda Prabhu than to seek that sort of grace for all of us. We shouldn't think like, oh yes, all these other people are fallen. No, we consider ourselves to be in that position and therefore in need of grace. If you don't think you're fallen, you don't need any grace. But if you really feel it, then you know you need grace, and that grace comes from above. Like Shakespeare saying, the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth like gentle rain from heaven. And it blesses not only those who receive it, but those who give it. And he said, the king is holding the crown and that scepter. The scepter indicates power to enforce laws, to punish. That's what it means. It's not just like a cool, paraphernalia that you have. It represents temporal power to force, to punish if necessary. So he said, and mercy is a divine quality. When a king makes decisions that are infused with mercy, he said, that is when a king is like God. When a king is merciful, that's when they're most like God. Because they were told, what was it? Not Nara Devata. Yeah, Nara Devata. But like God man. And don't go wild on Google and the internet with that. I'm just using a particular context. So this appeal is being made for mercy. And what is said there is, without mercy, what hope is there for any of us? If you're thinking you're qualified in Guru Maharaj's mind and heart, that's a disqualification. You cannot self-certify in Krishna consciousness because it's the possession of the devotees. And only by their appreciation can some good fortune be realized. So but Nityananda is everything. Nityananda, remember, Krishna is playing. It's divine pastime. Then who's after Krishna? Balaram. But he's after, but not younger brother, elder brother. And the two of them are playing. So what does Balaram do? Expand, quadruple expansions. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Then what? Again, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Then Mahavishnu, Garbhadakshai Vishnu, Kiradakshai Vishnu, Avatar. Like that, if you go back, well, wait, it all came from Balaram, from Nityananda, everything. So he is everything. So it only makes sense. And that person, no one loves Gauranga more than Nityananda, with the exception of Gadadhar. That's always that's a special relationship. So Nitai Koruna Have Braje Radha Krishna Pave. Heno Nitai Bine by Radha Krishna Pave. Sri Nityananda Trayodasi Ki Jai. Sri Nityananda Prabhu Avirbhav Mahamahotsav Ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Just going to conclude there because it's okay. And also Maharaj said there'll be time later for others to speak in Russian and